Hello everybody, it's Michael here from Replica Airguns, doing my first of a series of shootout videos, so head-to-head comparisons between several guns. Today we're looking at the Umarex Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8 and the ASG Dan Wesson 8-inch black. Now I know there's a little discrepancy in barrel length, the 6-inch barrel, 8-inch barrel. I just don't happen to have my 6-inch BB around, so the feet per second advantage is going to go maybe perhaps to the Dan Wesson a little bit this time, but you know, if you've got the 6-inch, just knock maybe 15 or 20 FPS off and you should be in the ballpark. So they should compare fairly well, and they're both black, so that's another good comparison. So first off, we're going to start. I'm just going to shoot 3 rounds through the chronograph. This will give us a rough idea of where they're shooting feet per second wise, and then I'm going to head back 30 feet to the target, and I'm going to shoot semi-rested at the target when I set it up here. And 30 feet, we're going to unload basically 6 rounds from each gun, because there's 6-round cylinders, so a little easier to do that. And we'll see what kind of accuracy we get. And then, you know, we'll talk a little bit perhaps about how many shots you get. People ask me that all the time, and I'll tell you, you'll get 100 shots out of each one of these guns. You know, your loading time takes a bit, but it's kind of fun to load these guns up with the shells and everything. All right, so let's get at it. You'll notice I have a new chronograph. I was out here yesterday trying to make this video, and I just struggled so much with my chronograph, I just said forget it. So we will be shooting in single action, so with the hammer cocked, just so we get a nice consistent feet per second. And hopefully this chronograph reads for me today. It should. There's no reason why it shouldn't. Now the first shot is going to have a lot of CO2 coming out, so we'll see what happens. See, that's probably because of all the CO2. We might have to do all 6 rounds, but we will get some readings here. Okay, come on. Can do it. There we go. Okay, 398. Just a little too much CO2 coming through there. 398. Do we have? Okay, I'm just gonna actually load up a couple BBs. Well, we'll go with this one. Sorry, it's just getting used to this chronograph. So around 400, and I might come back to that one and shoot a couple rounds real quick. I'll just reload it up, but let's get this one to read here. See, lots of CO2 coming out of there, so that's going to be tough. Too much CO2. 366, 347, 356. Alright, I think we're out of BBs. I'm going to just really quickly grab a couple shells for this one so that I can get a couple more readings for it, and then we'll average it out for you. One sec. Alright, let's see if we can get a couple more here. Come on. There we go, 379. 357. Okay, so it did drop a little bit. Both of them were getting, you know, I guess maybe this one had, like I said, a little bit of an advantage with a 400 reading. This guy dropped down about 340-ish, but you know, that's to be expected. We have slightly different barrel lengths, so that's what you're going to find is 8-inch barrel will get you a little bit more feet per second at the end of the day. All right, so let's head back and see how well they perform from 30 feet out in a semi-rested position on target. Okay, I'm all set up. 30 feet back again, semi-rested position. Got 6 rounds in both guns. We're going to fire off. I'm going to do the first 6 rounds in the Dan Wesson ASG, Dan Wesson 8-inch. And then we'll take a quick look, switch targets. Then we'll switch over to the Umarex Smith & Wesson 327 TRR8 and do the same thing. And then we'll compare the targets and see how well each one of them did. So let's just get in a good position here. I'm basically just resting my hands as comfortably as I can. I'm shooting in single action for all of these shots, trying to do this as fair as possible. Just want to get a good grip here. Okay. All right, we're good now. All right, let's take a look. Keep the gate open, I suppose. Well, that was actually a really tight group with this exception, so who knows what happened there, but look at that. That's a 3/4 of an inch group there. So maybe that was me. I mean, that's really strange. That's unusual. That's probably where the gun wants to shoot. Maybe we had a strange BB or an undersized or oversized BB. We'll see what the other gun does. Let's switch the targets out. All right, so we have the Umarex 327 TRR8. This one did really well last time out at range. I remember the sights are nice. These green dot sights definitely help. And just the way that the front sight fits into the back sight, it's like perfect for my arm length. They just fit in beautifully. And that may help with acquisition here. Again, single action, 30 feet out. All right, let's take a look. Well, we got a bigger spread this time. So let's just take a quick look here, side by side. All right, so we can see the 327, it sort of was centered a little better, but we had a high flyer, low flyer, and even the other group, I would say the main group is about 1.5 inches, because this is 1.5 inch circle here. Whereas the Dan Wesson wanted to shoot a little bit to the left, well centered top and bottom, like right on the line. That's beautiful. Just got to come over a little to the right, and it does have adjustable sights, so no problem there. We got this one shot that flew out here, and that could have been an off BB. It could have been me, right? Don't forget there's human factor involved. Last time with the Umarex 327, I think I shot like a 3/4 inch group from 30 feet away, if I'm not mistaken. So it's capable of doing tighter groupings for sure. Both of these guns shot fairly consistent in terms of feet per second. Again, the ASG had a little bit of an advantage with the longer barrel. They weren't shooting at their optimum because it's a cold day here. I'm sure you'd see up in the 450 ranges on a hot day, but we were more around 400 and under because it's a cold day here in BC, Canada. But either way, both these guns super fun. You're going to get about 100 easy shots out of any of the Dan Wessons, whether it be BB or airsoft. So they get lots of shots per CO2. They take a little bit more time to reload, especially if you don't have speed loaders or extra shells. But that's part of the fun of the Dan Wessons and that sort of style of gun, or the Umarex 327, is the loading the shell part. It just gives you that realism, like you're loading a real gun. You're putting those shells in. I know they're BBs, but when you put that shell in, it feels like you're using a real bullet. So anyways, a lot of fun there. All right, don't forget to subscribe. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Check out Replica Airguns online store, Canada and US store, and of course the website with lots of articles and reviews. And I have full articles for both these guns, written articles with pictures and things like that. So check out my tabletop and other shooting reviews for these guns. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.